Hey guys, Sensei Craig here and welcome back to the Samurai Virtual Dojo. And today's session, which is a pre-recorded session for intermediate level students. Today we're going to be working on a few skipping tricks, jump rope tricks, together with exploring a little bit of the kata Ananko and some various other activities. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Samurai Virtual Dojo. Remember, becoming a patron of Samurai Virtual Dojo gives you exclusive access to videos that are not posted on YouTube, as well as full-length videos, full-length training sessions, and a host of other benefits. So head over to Patreon, become a patron today. Anyway, let's get stuck into some training. So in today's session, we're going to start with just a few tricks or escalation of some skills for your basic skipping. As you guys know, skipping is a really important part of being a good fighter. It's also great for your general fitness, and when you're isolated at home, training on your own, skipping is great. You don't need a lot of room to do it. And of course, in previous videos, we've covered some basics of skipping. So these tricks are designed for people who've already got their basic technique down. All right, so able to skip, bouncing on the balls of the feet, minimal arm movement, just using those wrists there, slight flex in the knees, that sort of thing. So first little, trick, whatever we're going to look at, is a little bit of a side to side or a forward and back jump. So great way to do this is to imagine that you have a line you're standing on one side of. And then what we're going to be doing is just getting our basic skip either side of that line. So from here, just get your basic skip working, and then from there, just a little bit of side to side. Nice easy one. The key to this particular movement is don't make the movements too big to begin with, because you make the movements too big, you end up running into the rope. So anyway, give that one a try. Remember to keep your action nice and consistent. So from here, try not to make too much deviation in the upper body, like so. All right, give that one a go. Okay, with this next one, we're going to get a forward and backwards movement in exactly the same way that we just did the side to side one. So if we just get our basic skip going, and again, small movements, backward and forward. That's the way. Don't make them too big. Remember not to vary your upper body skip too much. Keep it nice and consistent. Away you go. Okay, so this next trick that we're going to look at is just a basic variation on high knee jogging. So we're going to be skipping, we're just going to be jogging with our knees up. Shouldn't be too difficult to get the hang of. So let's just get our basic rhythm going here, and then just transfer to that nice light jump there. You can probably hear that I've sped up a little bit, which is kind of an unconscious thing. I don't really do it on purpose. It's hard to jog slow at this. Easier to bounce slow than jog slow. So if you do speed up a little bit, not a big drama. You're going to stay on the balls of the feet. Okay, very good. Give that one a try. Okay. The last exercise, or the last skipping variation we're going to look at in today's session is just what's commonly known as an Ali shuffle, or just a little foot switch here. So what we're going to basically do is just get our feet moving backwards and forwards like so. So very small switches there. Okay, so from our basic skip here, great idea to start with is just pop your left or right foot slightly in front of the other one. Get your rhythm going. Practice is changing. Small movements. And when you've got the hang of it, a little bit slower if you like. Slow it right down. Speed up. And that's a basic Ali shuffle. Alright, so what have we covered so far? So we've covered a little bit of side to side movement. This little side to side action here over the line. Forwards and backwards. We've done a little bit of jogging there, and we've just looked at the Ali shuffle. So, what we're going to do now is complete a 2-minute skip to complete our warm-up. Freestyle skipping, so that means you can take your pace or your intensity of your skip up or down as you see fit. Also, feel free to have short rest periods if you need to. While you're freestyle skipping, you got all those options, well hopefully, you got all those options now. So you've got your basic skip, a little bit backwards and forwards, a little bit side to side. Obviously you do it for longer than this. Ali shuffle. And then try a little bit of jogging. Back to a basic skip, back to an Ali shuffle. And there we go. So there's a few new tricks for you to incorporate into your freestyle skipping routine. So anyway, I'll get you to complete 2 minutes of freestyle skipping now, trying some of those different things. When you're finished, back here, I'll see you, well, when you're finished, I'll see you back here. Let's get into some karate training. Os. Otogani. Right. Os. Welcome back to the session. Hopefully you're geared up by now. So we're going to start with a little bit of review of some components or chapters, sections of the Samurai Virtual Dojo version of the kata Ananko. Remember, if you go to YouTube or Google and you type in Ananko kata, or indeed the name of any traditional karate kata, it's a little bit like going down Alice's rabbit hole into Wonderland. You never know what you're going to find each time you go down. So what I'm going to present to you in this session is just my interpretation that of certain segments of Ananko kata that I've learnt from various sources, including my own teachers and other people that I've studied with and researched with. Remember that this is not the definitive version of the kata. This is not the version, the most, real version or the original version. There's no such thing. I'm just going to show you, take you through today, the version that we work on in the Samurai Dojo. So let's get into it. So chapter 1 of this kata is a fairly aggressive section. So what we're going to do is step in and we're going to attack with a strike this way. Okay, now in order to give that strike power, we're going to do a couple of things. Number one, we're going to step into the strike. So that means from a high-core position, here, we're going to shift our weight onto our back leg, or what is going to become our back leg, and we're going to drive forward. From that position there, we're going to shift or break that weight and then drive forward with the other leg. The other thing we're going to do to increase the power, strength, speed of the movement is we're going to use our hips. We're going to wind and use our pelvic floor. The way we're going to do that is when we shift our hips, we're going to turn our hips square to the direction we're moving in, and then as I move forward and connect, can you see my hips are square, my hand is wound up. From there, I'm going to twist my hips as I strike. From that position, I'm going to turn my hips this way as my foot comes across, wind up this striking hand, come forward, and then unwind those hips that way. Excellent. Let's have a look at that from this angle here. So as I step in, my hips are square. The hand that I'm going to strike with is wound up here. Nothing too formal at this stage. Okay, what I'm doing here by keeping my core tucked and my hips square is I'm winding up my body this way. By pulling that hip back now and releasing, I'm bringing the power of my legs, my glutes, all that good stuff, all that big muscle down there, and I am then using it in the strike. And that's really important. That's what we want to be getting in our kata. So let's have a look at that from here. So from this position, let's break it down a little. So, shift my weight over to my right leg, step into left leg forward at a 45-degree angle, creating a square hip position. From here, I'm going to wind up my left hand and then strike and release the hips. Very good. Now from here, I need to get my hips pointing in that direction over there, or square to that direction over there. So what I'm going to do is transfer my weight first, turn my foot and my hips in this direction here. Now I'm going to step around with that right leg, keeping my hips square. And you can see I've got my right hand wound up now, pulled back. And from there, I then release the hips and strike. Very good. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, slowly, is practice that 10 times. When you've practiced that 10 times, unpause, and I'll show you how to do it, or how it should look when it's a little smoother and a little faster. Go. Okay, so now that you've practiced that hip action and those first two movements, slowly, 10 times, let's have a look at that a little smoother, a little faster. So, from this position here, as I turn, can you see that my hips, as I shift my weight to my right leg for that first movement, my hips turn. That's my wind up, that elastic winding up of the fascia. So from here, I shift to my right, wind up, and as I connect, the hip lets go. Very good. Now, same thing on the other side. I break my weight. As I come across, can you see my hips turn to get that wind up? Turn, step, and then release. Good. Let's look at that again. So, weight shifts, hips turn, connect and release. Weight shifts, hips turn, connect and release. And again, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not easy. So, give that a bit of a try. Now for those of you who are just taking your literal and figurative first steps in Ananko, maybe you're learning this for the first time. For now, I recommend just practice stepping in, winding up and striking, turning, winding up and striking. But for those of you a little bit more advanced, give that hip action a try. It will really improve the speed, strength and power of those first two movements of Ananko. Excellent. So now that we've done a little bit of, study of the correct hip action for that first segment chapter of Ananko, let's do a quick review of chapters 2 and 3, and then we'll move on to some other training. So, from our yoy, remember that this is our starting position for the kata, and then of course we step into this preparatory pose here. Alright, and then we get our first movement number 1, and then our second movement. Okay, from this position here, back foot goes across, we're going to turn 180 degrees and block Uchi-Uke with the left hand. Good. Then we're going to punch Gyakuzuki, Maikuzuki. Now remember, in traditional kata, when performing your movements, to keep them consistent. So both punches at the same height. Even though for combat, we would punch to different heights. Okay, from that position, back foot goes across and we turn 180 degrees. Block Uchi-Uke with the right hand, punch Gyakuzuki with the left, Maikuzuki with the right. Okay, from this position here, we're going to straighten up towards the shoulder, into right leg forward, Sanshin-dachi. So I'm going to pull back, come to Sanshin-dachi, and perform this double block here, this double Uchi-Uke. From that position, I'm going to pull in, turn my hands, punch out, and then step forward with my right leg, small wind up with my right hand, and punch with the front hand. Oizuki. Or Maikuzuki. Okay, from this position here, when you pull your hands in, turn them, make sure they come back. So it's not here, we want to pull them right back, then we turn them. Now watch, when you strike, don't strike out and bring your elbows away from your body. What we're doing is we're striking hard into our opponents, we're in close, and we're striking hard into our opponent's lower ribs, abdominal area. So, if we strike out too far, here in the kata, we're demonstrating to whoever's watching, we don't really understand the practical aspect of this particular movement. Okay, from here we've broken out. We've broken out of a grab or some sort of movement like that. I mean, they could be hitting close and I'm blocking this way. Okay, but I'm in really close. So when I strike now, the strike needs to be in close. Now the other reason for that, the other reason I keep my elbows in, is it makes your strike more powerful because it connects your arm muscles to your back muscles here. The further out from your body you strike, the less use you're going to get from those big muscles. So please, keep that striking close. All right, let's review those movements again. So, from Haikodachi, we're going to step in with the left and strike, 45-degree angle, then transfer and strike to the right. 45 degrees. Back foot across, turn 180 degrees, block left Uchi-Uke, Gyakuzuki, Maikuzuki. Back foot across, turn 180, block, punch Gyakuzuki, Maikuzuki. Good. Right foot and right leg move now into Sanshin-dachi. Good. And from that position, double Uchi-Uke, pull in, strike out, step forward with your right leg, small wind up, and punch with your front hand. Very good. And that's the first three, well those are, first three segments or chapters of Ananko. So I'm going to get you to practice that a number of times now. Pause the video. How many? I'm going to leave this completely up to you. A minimum of 5 times, though if you want to practice it 8 or 10 or more, that's fantastic as well. More practice is not going to hurt you unless you're doing it really badly. Okay, when you finish that, head back here, unpause the video, we'll get on to our next segment of training. Horse. Okay, so we're going to move on to a little work now, a little technical work on our Ushiro Geri. So Ushiro Geri being our back kick. Remember that back kick these days is often performed with a spinning action as well. So from this position here, we quite often see practitioners spinning and then kicking this way. It's a very popular modern thing to do. Remember that Ushiro Geri technically does not mean spinning back kick. It simply means back kick. And why is it called a back kick? That's right, your opponent's behind you or in the back. Same as it's called a side kick. It's called a side kick because you need to kick to the side, your opponent's coming from the side. I mean, think about the realism of combat or violence or aggression. My opponent who wants to attack me, there's a really good chance that they are going to attack from the back or the side. Okay, so because they're attacking from the side, I might not have time to turn and deliver a forward technique. So something that may give me that necessary time to prepare and turn is a quick side kick or a quick back kick. That kick may not be enough to end the confrontation at that stage, but it may give me that small window of time in which I can turn into my preferred position, which is, of course, my forward stance. Okay, so for our Ushiro-geri training today, you're going to need some sort of small platform, like a stool or a step or a box or something like that, and a stackable object. I've got some kick shields here with me. Okay, this is a bit of a challenge exercise. You could use cushions or something like that. Just make sure you've got plenty of room. And what we're going to do is we're going to complete 10 Ushiro-geri, or 10 back kicks with our right leg, and then 10 back kicks with our left leg. Starting at a basic low level. Then we're going to add one level and continue kicking until we get to our PB of how high we can kick. So let's have a look at that. Remember your Ushiro-geri basics. So I'm going to start by kicking with my right leg. So I'm going to pop my right leg. Well, I guess you could say because I'm facing this way, it's in the front. But if you think about where my opponent is, I'm going to put my right leg in the back. Okay, from that position there, we're going to set with our reverse hand, our back hand. The reason is that's going to give us good ballast or good balance. Okay, so remember when we go onto one leg, particularly with a back kick, we're going to have issues with ballast. If you think about your torso as your mast on a boat. Okay, if I have no ballast or balance, when I pick up this leg to kick, can you see the boat is going to rock? From this position here, if I create ballast with the front hand, that can work, but it upsets the balance a little bit. What I find is that the reverse hand creates a far stronger and more consistent form of ballast. So from this position here, when I pick up and kick now, having this reverse hand forward, as you can see, creates a better balance. And remember, I'm kicking over that stool there. Okay, so from this position here, remember to get a nice high knee lift and thrust your heel back at your target this way. Don't turn your body and kick this way, that's a side kick. And if you have to look over your shoulder, do so without turning your whole body this way. Just turn your head. Then from that position, knee up, kick, and back. So, H, kick, and back. Knee, kick, and back. Good. San, kick, and back. Yon, kick, and back. Do, kick, and back. Very nice. If you'd like to, you can of course practice this with a tube. Your anchor would be in front of you over here. Ankle bracelet on, tube attached, and then kick from there. Not an easy thing to do. Okay, time to add a layer. So, take one layer, take one cushion, one kick shield, one mitt, whatever it is you've got. Pop it on there. Don't forget to do your left leg over level 1 as well. Don't forget to do your left leg over the stool. Alright. One layer on. Time for another 5 or 10 or 15 kicks. Here we go. H. Knee. probably could have put on more layers, but that's not the point. All right, time for another 5, 10, 15 kicks. Don't forget to do your left leg or your other leg at that level. Okay. You guys don't want to sit here all day watching me do kicks. So, all right, so next level, I then perform another 5 kicks. Next level. When do we stop? Well, when we stack those pads up and we kick one off. Or our technique turns to crap. Okay, so let's have a look with that third layer on there. Let's see how I go. Don't cheat by going back here. Yay, that's easy. Okay, so make sure you stay close enough that it is a challenge. All right, so nice high knee lift and over the pad. Whoa, that was a bit of a mess. Kick that way. Kick that way. There we go. Now, when do we drop out? When I tried to kick the pads and missed. Oh no, okay, so I'm out. All right, so there's a little bit of an shirogiri training exercise for you. By the way, you can perform this exercise with any kick. Mai-geri, mawashi-geri, urumawashi-geri, shirogiri, yoko-geri, etc., etc. Crescent kick, build the stack right up if you're working on flexibility. Build your stack right up and see how high you can get your crescent kick over there. Anyway, today I just thought we'd focus a little bit on the shirogiri. So, there's your exercise. I want you to practice that left and right leg. 10-15 kicks each side, building up your levels. When you've knocked a pad off on each side and you're done, back here, we'll have a look at the next section of training. Awesome. Okay, so one of the challenges of training by yourself or being isolated and having no other option is you probably do not have a partner to work with, especially a experienced martial arts partner or someone of your level. Now, if you do, you can practice these exercises we're about to get into with a partner in your home dojo. I'm filming here today with no partner. So I'm going to demonstrate to you some visualization techniques or working in such a way that I can develop certain skills without a partner. If you do have a partner, you can get them to adopt or take on the attacking role in this exercise. So we're going to do what we call in the Samurai Virtual Dojo some ippon kumite, or single technique based stuff. Remember, we're working at an intermediate level here, so we don't want it too basic, but we don't want to escalate it too much either. So in the Samurai Virtual Dojo, ippon kumite is the concept of dealing with some basic aggressive striking actions and looking at how we would counter or defend against those. So we're just going to look at a couple today. Okay, attacks that are quite common in the street. So the first one is just a quick swing at the head. So someone's in front of you, chesting up to you, you're trying to keep your space. They're continually pushing forward like this, mouthing off, and then all of a sudden, remember that's all a distraction. They're mouthing off and then all of a sudden, from this hands down position, they swing really quickly. Now they could swing with an open hand to make it a little faster, trying to smack you across the face, disturb your balance, and then come in hitting a lot faster and harder. Or it could be a closed fist swing. So they could be here, and then all of a sudden, bang, and then they hit this way, and then they're moving forward. Okay, so how would we respond to that? How would you respond to that? Okay. So when we're working on ippon kumite, we want to consider, well, in the first instance, a couple of elements. There's two ways that we can protect against these things. Number one is movement, and number two is using our hands, what we call deflecting or blocking. Okay, so I'm imagining, just for the sake of visualization, that my opponent is right-handed. Now that means the swing is going to come at the left side of my head. Which means if I'm going to bring my hands up, they need to be on this side. Okay, now obviously I'm not going to do anything too formal because it's slow. Okay, so from here I may end up doing a Shuto style movement, but it may be very quick like this. And you notice I also move to my right. Why did I do that? Just because it's the most simple, basic thing I can think of. Okay, I know a lot of really advanced trainers who train military forces and police talk about moving in against a circular technique. So when your opponent swings, moving in against it. But remember, we're not working at that level today. So we're going to get our hands up and just move away from their strike. This way. That's not to say that what we're doing here is right or wrong. Okay, so I want you to adopt a basic left leg forward pose, but nothing karate or international fighting arts magazine sort of thing here. Okay, we're not looking to win a kata tournament here. So we want a basic left leg forward position, hands up, fairly neutral position, nothing too aggressive at this stage. And when I swing, I want you to imagine, or when I count, I'm going to swing, I want you to see that. And I want you to shift and get your hands up. Ready? And yes! So there's that swing. Good. And move back, and here we go again. Knee! Good. Here we go again. So remember that the camera, or the screen that you're watching on, does not make this super realistic. I mean, I don't want you to stand right in front of the screen. So the reason I'm swinging is just to give you a bit of a visual cue. Ideally, what you want to do is use your skills of visualization to visualize an opponent swing at you. I'll give you an example. So I sort of might close my eyes just for a moment to picture someone chest out like this. All right, sort of got a picture of that now. Open my eyes, and here comes that strike, and back foot. It's really good. And as you can see, I moved a little off balance. The power of visualization. All right, so from here, hands up this way, protecting my head. Okay, from here, choose an appropriate counter. So maybe you're going to come back with your elbow, and then follow with the knee. Maybe you've got a little bit more space and you're going to kick Kingeri, or whatever the case may be. Very good. So, if you've got a partner, get them to swing now, not too fast, get them to slide in and swing at your head. With a mitt on, without a mitt on, it depends on how, I guess, fast you're feeling. Alright, get them to swing 10-15 times. And what I want you to do is practice moving, getting your hands up, and then lightly countering. Now, for those of you like me who don't have a partner, visualize, intensely visualize that attack. From here, intensely visualize it. Move, get your hands up, defend your head, then strike, move back, give yourself a moment, revisualize, and do that again. Complete 15 or 20 of those movements. A great, I guess I wouldn't say variation on this exercise, but great extension to this exercise. After you've done it solo, you can practice it with some impact if you have a punching bag. So what you could do is stand in front of the punching bag. Yes, I know the punching bag is not going to punch you, but you could visualize the attack. You could move and then come back in and practice getting impact against the bag with your counter strike. So there you go. All right, so just work on that defense now, 10, 15, 20 times to that circular hooking strike. Then join me back here and we'll look at the other strike. Go. Okay. The other strike we're going to look at today is a low, so an abdominal thrusting attack. Now I've just grabbed a wooden fake or training knife here, just for the demonstration of what you're going to visualize. So, what you're going to visualize is an opponent with a thrusting, edged or pointed weapon, basically striking at your lower body like so. Alright, so a thrusting action that way. Chop my head off there. So, thrusting action that way. Now, disclaimer. I am not for a moment suggesting that if you visualize someone attacking you like this, with one of these, 1,000 times, and you do stuff like this, that in the street, you are now going to somehow mystically going to be able to defend against a knife thrust, and that's going to work for you. No, I am not one of those martial artists or senseis or instructors who believes in things like that. I do not. In fact, let me tell you something right now. I can tell you right now, if someone came at me with a knife, unexpectedly, the very last thing that I would probably do is block like that and strike like that. More than likely what I would do is I'd go, ah! Like this. I'd probably be off balance to some extent. Even after this many years of training. Because I don't work in this arena non-stop. I'm not a soldier. I don't train soldiers. I don't train police officers. Okay, though I've been training for 36 years, I don't do this stuff on a daily basis. So I just want to put that out there. Okay? So what I'm trying to show you is stuff that the average civilian, someone like you or me, could possibly do. Alright, so think about it, I'm here. Now this means I've got some idea that there's a threat. Maybe I haven't seen the knife, but there's a concealed hand. Maybe I can see the knife. Maybe it's just my aggressor has got it in their hand by their side like this. Maybe I can see it. I'm trying to keep a bit of distance here. I'm sort of moving around, and all of a sudden that thrust comes. What are my options? I don't have a lot, do I? Okay, so from this position here, again, I kind of want to get off to the side. Okay, the reason I probably don't want to go back is if they're coming forward with repetitive stabbing actions or slashing actions, their momentum is coming that way, and eventually I might get overrun. So I prefer to move laterally if I can. So if I'm going to move laterally, I want a slightly wider stance than normal. So if my stance is more narrow, okay, moving laterally is going to be a little bit more difficult unless you're a serious expert. So from this position here, I want you to visualize that stab coming, and I want you to shift to the side. Now, hands, probably not a good idea to push down with your hands, just in case they get cut to ribbons. But there's a really good chance, if someone attacks you with a knife, you're probably going to be cut. Okay, so from this position here, I just want you to practice shifting out of the way. So for context, think of that as movement number 7 of our directional movements. Okay, from here you can get your arm moving down in a gedan uke style action. And then obviously we want to be striking back high, attacking the face, the eyes, the throat, weaker areas. We're not attacking the body when the person's got a knife. I mean, think about it. Their adrenaline's up, they're struck with the knife. I shift, and then I punch them in the body, which barely weakens them. They suddenly turn slashing with the knife. We've got all sorts of problems. So attack the face, attack the neck, that sort of thing. All right, so from this position here, in comes that knife that way. Ready, hitch. Yeah. And again, knee. And again, sun. Go down back. Do 2 more. Young. That way. 1 more. Go. Okay, if you've got a partner at home that you're training with, then you can get them to, gently to begin with, simulate this thrusting attack. If you don't, you're going to need to visualize it. Try some different things. So I've just recommended shifting this way, getting your arm down this way and counter-attacking high. You could move the other way. In fact, moving the other way might be better for you, depending on what hand or trajectory they're striking on. Could be better facing that particular opponent as well. So again, like in practice, 10, 15, 20 of those defenses. Again, if you've got a punching bag, visualize the attack, shift and apply your counter on the bag. So you're getting some nice heavy strikes there, fast. Okay, do we just hit back once? No, hit back multiple times. So move, hit back 1, 2, and then finish with an elbow strike. Okay, remember, always with your counter attacks, 2 or 3 counter attacks, not just one. Okay, you are not one punch man. Okay, you are not the fabled one punch man. Okay, shift, hi-yah! And then they drop down at your feet and victory. Okay, guys, probably not going to happen. So put together strong combinations for your counter attacks. All right, away you go. Excellent. Now that you've practiced a little bit of solo sort of visualization and movement versus the higher swinging, hooking action in attack, and the lower thrusting towards the abdominal attack that way, the final exercise today is just to practice a little bit of movement and visualize those attacks coming at you independently, them being mixed up. So I'm moving this way, call it shadow sparring, call it shadow boxing, whatever you like, okay, but with a little bit more, I guess, visualization on realism. So we don't want to be pulsing and moving around as though we're fighting another martial arts practitioner. Okay, we've got this violent, aggressive person for whatever reason, they've got a knife or their chest is out and they're ready to strike. And so I'm moving a little bit more realistically this way. Okay, not that the situation of me visualizing is realistic. I mean, I'm just attempting to move with a bit more realism. And then from here I'm visualizing maybe the thrust coming in, so I'm moving and then countering. And then I'm moving again, I'm resetting the scenario. This time I've got the guy in my face, he's right up here, and all of a sudden he swings, and so I may have to cover up this way. And then counter this way, and then I move again. And get yourself a stopwatch or a timer on your phone. And do that for 30 to 45 seconds. Then have a short rest of 15 to 20 seconds, and then complete the round again. So I'd like you to complete 3 rounds of this shadow sparring against those 2 basic techniques. Okay, if you're visualizing and you're using your muscle groups and you're staying down and you're countering fast, it's a good little workout. It's not as good as working with a partner, but it's the next best thing. Okay guys, Sensei Craig here, and I'd like to thank you once again for joining me in the Samurai Virtual Dojo. Don't forget to head over to our Patreon page. If you're seeing this video on Patreon, fantastic. Thank you for your patronage. It's going to allow us to create more content, put on new content creators and developers in the future, and bring you a stronger, more complete virtual dojo. Okay, if you haven't been over to our Patreon page yet, head over there, become a patron member. There's some great benefits, no matter what level of patronage or membership you choose to come in at. Okay, so in today's session, we learned a few new tricks for skipping, or reminded ourselves of some different things we can do while skipping, if you're a pretty good skipper already. Okay, we did a little bit of technical, technical review of a few movements of Ananko kata. We did a bit of review of chapters 2 and 3 as well. We then moved on to some shirigiri, some back kick, and a good little exercise there. Okay, with stacking up the levels. Remember, you can do that with any kick, not just the shirigiri. And then we finished with a little bit of basic visualization, movement and technique work against a couple of, well, semi-realistic attacks. A swing to the head and a low thrust at the abdominal area. A little bit of shadow sparring, that sort of thing. So I hope you've enjoyed the session today, and I look forward to seeing you next time in the Samurai Virtual Dojo. Otogami, right? Os. Ciao guys.